What have you done, Ronald?
I pressed the B button! I pressed the B button! I pressed the B button!
Thank goodness. Here, I thought you broke it. Who broke it? I'm not mad. Just want to know. Who broke it?
It was me, I broke it.
No, you didn't.
No, yeah, but it's me, I broke it. Go. It burnt me and I got angry and punched it.
It was getting too friendly
It was
around.
getting friendly around here. The court will now reconvene for the trial of Miss Lana Sky.
Woo!
I didn't come back.
Oh well. Allow me to call the next witness to the stand. The officer in charge of guarding the evidence room on the day of the crime. He's drinking. Thanks, Jake. Witness, please state your name and occupation. Me, partner? Oh, I'm just a man, same as you, wandering the trails of civilization. Occasionally helping the elderly cross intersections when needed. Yes, we get it.
Oh, I know. You're a patrolman.
Stop drinking at the stand! As for my name, if you listen hard enough, you can hear the howling wind calling it out. To be exact, it's Jake Marshall, Your Honor.
Howling wind? I've never been described that way before. Yes, you have. Well, no, Phoenix, not many people know what goes behind closed doors between you two.
Yeah. Now, Mr. Marshall, let me ask you something. You were in charge of guarding the evidence room on the day of So I said that. Oh, wait. On the day the crime took place. There we go. Is this correct? According to the papers, partner.
What do you mean?
Do you want me to press while you,
I'm good.
A desperado's soul is as boundless as the desert sands. No paper can sum it up.
Maybe it's best we get on with this quickly. Please share with us your testimony of the day of the crime. In plain old English.
Day of the crime! My job was to keep a wary eye on that bone orchard. They said I was supposed to make rounds 3 times a day, but that ain't my style. Besides, the room's protected by 2 security systems anyway. If I remember right, I was at a street-side saloon at the time it went down. I'm just an innocent traveling man, so if you're out of ammo, it's time I hit the trail.
I can't say I particularly care for your attitude.
I can't say I care for your beard, but you don't see me complaining. Yikes.
Wait a minute. What do you mean by 2 security systems?
I mean the security cameras and the ID card reader. I reckon even a cowpoke like you knows about those.
Yes, well, what about the fingerprint-activated locks on the evidence lockers?
Fingerprint activated locks? What kind of newfangled doohickeys are those?
Didn't know.
He didn't know.
Or he's lying. He's not being very helpful.
He's not that good with machines. Or with following orders. Everyone's got their weaknesses now, don't they, Mr. Prosecutor?
This one seems like trouble. Okay, Mr. Wright, he's all yours.
Well...
I don't press him on that one.
No, there's no need to. Well, we already have ammo to, in a sense, indict him at the moment. So, when he says he was at the street side saloon, so when he was at a bar, we can present the bloody print.
Okay, so present it there.
Yeah, I'd say that. Makes sense, because we have his bloody fingerprints.
You're sure it's right there?
Yeah, I'd say so, because he's saying he wasn't there.
It went silent. We're good. Officer Marshall, doesn't it strike you as odd that you being called in to testify like this? After all, you weren't in the security room at the time of the crime.
And yet you dragged me down here. Explain yourself, partner.
It's quite simple. You left a large trail behind at the scene. Or to be exact, a handprint.
That's a real good, partner. Like I said, I'm the caretaker of that crypt. I pay my respects, that is, make my rounds, about once a month. It's only natural my fingerprints would be in there.
I only wish it were, officer. But you see, your fingerprints were covered in blood. Witness, what is the meaning of this? Your blood-stained fingerprints were at the crime scene. The blood was wiped away, however. A luminol test clearly revealed this. Well, Officer Marshall?
It seems to me there ain't a person in this room with a head on his shoulders. I take it you have an explanation then, Officer Marshall. About the blood-stained fingerprints?
Very well. You may begin your testimony about your fingerprints found at the scene of the crime.
Blood-stained fingerprints. Like I said, it's only natural for my fingerprints to be in that evidence room. One of them just happened to be at the same place as the blood-stained handprint. Go on. The murderer touched the locker where my fingerprint was by chance. Okay.
I think it was on the locker. He didn't say that.
The blood stain and the fingerprint are completely unrelated. But did you know that the murderer was wearing gloves?
Marshall? How the fuck did you know that?
See? I had nothing to do with it. I think we need to press some statements.
You and me both. The witness's explanation appears valid. Although there's room for doubt.
Life wouldn't be fun without any doubt, partner.
The defense may now cross-examine the witness. This guy's hiding something. I can feel it. I don't have much chance to prove it.
I think... Let's see... I'd press this because it's a thing of... He can make his rounds without touching the lockers, surely.
How did you put it? Pay your respects once a month?
Yeah, that's right. That and one more thing. That locker happens to be mine.
I knew it was his! I knew it was his! What? What do you mean?
I mean what I said. That's the locker I used when I was a detective. The locker I still use. All that's in there now is a heap of broken dreams.
I see.
It'd be strange if my prints weren't all over that locker.
Apparently this fingerprint data was never removed from that locker's background. He must have been using the fingerprint lock this entire time without ever knowing it.
Suppose we should ask her about the,
What?
no. The gloves. How does he know?
How do you know that?
I may be a loner, but I still do my job. I keep up on the reports. There was a bloodstain at the scene, thought to be left by the murderer.
That's right. It was found on Detective Gumshoe's locker.
However, no fingerprints were detected on that handprint.
Oh yeah, I think we tried that too.
He did, Phoenix.
So that would mean the murderer, wearing gloves, happened to place their hand of Officer Marshall's fingerprint.
That's the only logical conclusion.
There's not. But that video is next to useless. It's full of blind spots. Blind spots? Places you can't see. The camera's panning back and forth. The floor isn't shown. If someone was familiar with the camera's position, they could leave the room without being caught on tape.
We don't have time for your speculations, Mr. Wright.
Well, Mr. Wright, if you can show us evidence in this video that indicates Officer Marshall was present, please do so now. Yes, we fucking can.
Yes, show the evidence. It's in the videotape.
Very well. Allow me to point out your mistake, Officer Marshall.
Tread carefully, Mr. Wright, or you might wind up being the one making the mistake.
I'm not making a mistake. Fuck it off! Now then, let's have another look at the video. Show us this incriminating evidence of the witness, Officer Jake Marshall.
Right, we need to go right to the end. Pause. The clock. J'accuse.
Bringing our attention back to the security camera is a mistake I'm afraid you'll not soon forget, Officer Marshall.
The days are short in Texas, and so are our tempers. Could you sum up what you have to say in 8 words or less?
Very well. You can clearly be seen in this video.
Exactly 8 words. Not bad, partner.
The key lies in a certain locker shown in the video. That locker with the white cloth sticking out. That was the witnesses, I believe. Now then, let's rewind the video a bit.
A little faster, please, Phoenix.
Oh, the white cloth. It's gone. What is the meaning of this, Officer Marshall? When the crime took place, the white cloth wasn't there. Then, it suddenly appeared. Is There's only one explanation. Officer Marshall, you were in the evidence room at the time of the crime. What's more, you opened your locker when the camera was turned away. Order! Order!
Hold your horses! Sorry, partner, but you got the wrong man. So what if my locker was open? That doesn't mean I'm the one who opened it. The murderer needed to hide something, so he opened a locker and stuck it in. That's not my fault he happened to choose mine. Why is everyone staring at me like I'm a wanted man?
This guy isn't just playing dumb. He really doesn't know. I hate to rain on your parade, but you're the only person who can open that particular locker.
Oh yeah? I'll call your bluff. You say open that locker? Now prove it. With the evidence lockers themselves. Fingerprint sensor?
We talked about this earlier today. The lockers can only be opened by the detectives they belong to.
What kind of crazy talk is this?
Well, Detective Gumshoe did mention something about this. So, Sheriff, what do you have to say in 8 words or less?
I only got one word for you, partner. No!
That was a reaction and a half.
Yeah.
Finally, he lost his cool.
The wind suddenly blew.
Order! 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 Witness, explain yourself.
If this is a joke, it's the worst I've ever heard.
I assure you this is no joke, Officer Marshall. Now then, please tell us what you were doing in the evidence room at the time of the crime. Olay. Do I really have to?
Go ahead.
Olay! Please, answer the question. What is he now? A bullfighter?
Oh God, I was like, is that a mistake?
That's alright, Officer Marshall. I believe we can figure the rest out from here. We can. Have a look at these floor plans. There's no place for someone to hide in the evidence room. Yet Officer Meekins didn't see Officer Marshall. But so then, where was the witness?
It seems Mr. Wright has an answer.
That's right. Only possible conclusion. Well then, let's hear it. Where was Officer Marshall at the time of the crime?
He was the so-called victim.
Officer Marshall was standing right here. There, but that's where the victim, Detective Goodman, was. Correct, unless the man wasn't Detective Goodman. I believe the victim in the video is Officer Marshall. It was you, dressed up like Detective Goodman.
But that's preposterous! Officer Meekins witnessed the detective at the crime scene.
Officer Meekins doesn't know any detectives.
Once he saw the man's face, he'd know for sure.
Officer Meekins doesn't know any detectives. May I point out, though, that Officer Meekins did not know Detective Goodman. He also testified about the man's reaction when confronted. Something about the officer's story puzzled me. If the man had his ID card, why didn't he just show it?
Exactly.
Yes, he would have needed it to enter the evidence room, so he must have been carrying it. The answer is simple. He couldn't show it
Huh?
As you see, Detective Goodman's picture is on his ID card. Oh, I get it. If he showed that, his cover would have been blown. Officer Meekins would have realized the man wasn't Detective Goodman. Do you have anything to say to this, Officer Marshall?
You got quite an imagination, partner. We got a term for that. It's called circumstantial evidence.
Circumstantial evidence? He's still denying it.
You're gonna have to do better than that to break a detective. Unless you have hard evidence proving I dressed up as the victim.
I can't say I particularly care for your uncooperative disposition.
I can't say I care for your beard, but you don't see me complaining.
Well, Mr. Wright, do you have any evidence proving beyond a shadow of a doubt that Officer Marshall dressed up as the victim? Well, who am I kidding? I don't have anything like that.
I can see the fear in your eyes, partner. Seems you're the one who couldn't take the desert heat.
This can't be happening. So obviously he's the one. What can I do? Thank you, Edgeworth.
It looks like your lack of experience has finally been exposed. Why are you thanking him?
Because he said something.
Yeah, he's insulting us.
Do you actually... He might not be talking to us.
I'll pass on to you what someone told me when I was just starting out. When you've run into a wall with no place to go, return to basics.
Basics? For me, that would be what me used to tell me.
Phoenix, try thinking outside of the box.
I shouldn't look for proof that Officer Marshall was in disguise. But rather I should look for evidence because he was in disguise.
Why do you think this locker was opened in the first place?
What do you mean?
There's no reason for Officer Marshall to open his locker at the time of the crime. Yet he did, despite the chance it might be discovered later, as it has been.
Originally planned to open his locker. According to the defense's argument, Officer Jake Marshall dressed up as Detective Goodman at the time of the crime. Then, after the crime was committed, he opened his own locker for some unknown reason. He stuffed the shit inside.
Yeah, we figured that out ages ago. The fact that a white cloth is sticking out of the locker seems to indicate that. You opened it in order to put the cloth inside.
So, just what exactly is this piece of cloth? Perhaps this video is the key into all our unanswered questions. Don't have any evidence, this video is my only shot.
Yay, the videotape again.
Very well, let's take yet another look at the security tape. After committing the crime, the witness opened his locker to put away the white cloth. Please show us why the witness had to open his locker.
Let's fast forward this shit again. Let's get to the scuffle. Not here. Let's keep going. Just play it at normal speed.
Yeah, that's what I was going to do.
Stop! Blood on the shoulder.
For some reason, you disguised yourself as Detective Goodman and entered the evidence room, though I don't know to what end yet.
Yet?
However, something unexpected happened. Officer Meekins barged in on you. When asked to show your ID card, you pulled a knife on him. However, Officer Meekins panicked, and the white coat you were wearing was soiled with blood. A bloody white coat. You couldn't just walk out like that, so you hid the coat in your locker.
Not bad, partner.
Oh, we're a partner.
Oh, sorry. Not bad. partner. He has thin legs.
He does. Now then, Officer Marshall, are you ready to tell us the truth?
Looks like I underestimated you, y'all. I hope you're happy now, Mr. Edgeworth. 2 years ago, if you were only half as persistent then as you are today, we all wouldn't have to be here now would we?
Sorry. Officer Marshall, tell the court what you did. All of it.
All right. It seems the time has come. Okay, here we go. Marshall's confession. I had to do it that day. I couldn't just stand by and let it die. I stole the detective's ID and dressed like him. I planned to take out the evidence. I wasn't expecting Officer Meekins. I knocked him out. I managed to escape. I knew which areas I wouldn't be caught on the camera. There wasn't any murder in the evidence room at 5:15.
So the supposed victim was really you?
But there's one thing I still don't understand. Traces of a large quantity of blood were found on the floor of the evidence room. If no one was murdered, then how could that be? Officer Meekins managed to cut his own hand.
Told you it was his.
My guess is he's the donor.
He would have still been bleeding while he was
I
unconscious.
suppose. But it was only for 15 minutes.
It was way too much blood for such a small donation.
Okay, let's go. Let's cross-examine this bitch. Okay, well, we better press him on that. Why don't you let him die?
When you say it, you mean...
Do you even have to ask, partner?
The SR9 incident.
2 years have passed since the case was closed. It was going to completely end with the transferal day. Not if I have anything to do with it. That incident's not over.
But what did you hope to accomplish by sneaking into the evidence room?
When a case is closed, only the case's lead detective can look through the evidence. I wanted to have a look at it myself one more time. No matter what the cost. I don't care what anyone says, partner. That case is mine.
Officer Marshall wasn't in charge of that investigation. Why does he care so much about...
Neil Marshall. That day was my last chance. That's why I half feel like we should press all the statements. We best press them all, to be honest. Get as much info out of it as we can before we see if we can contradict anything.
Why did you disguise yourself as Detective Goodman?
If I didn't make it look like Goodman was carrying out the evidence transferal, I'd be arrested for stealing evidence, which wouldn't get me anywhere. So you did it to fool the security camera.
And the detective's ID card?
I stole that the morning of the incident.
So that's what... It's really... So that really was why Goodman started filling out that lost item report.
I returned his ID card. I left it on the floor in the prosecutor's office parking lot.
The ID card I found was left by Officer Marshall?
So essentially, you managed to succeed despite your lack of foresight. What do you mean, partner? I mean the fingerprint-activated lock, of course. No matter how well you disguised yourself, you can't change your fingerprints. Under normal circumstances, you wouldn't have been able to open that locker yourself.
But he could, because the rubber glove just happened to get stuck in the door. That means... That means Detective Goodman must have opened the locker before Officer Marshall.
Hmm.
The other number!
Like I said, you could easily enter at the same time. If someone else opened it.
Yeah, but... What I'm saying is that number at 420. Maybe he thought he left his ID in his locker.
True? Anyway, let's continue.
And it's a guest one. So... He pulled a knife on Officer Meekins and tried to drive him off.
Let's just say I was a little surprised. I only planned on being in the evidence room for no more than 5 minutes. I didn't think anyone would actually come in during that short time.
Officer Meekins certainly is a 1 in a million type of person, mistaking a detective for an intruder and demanding to be shown his ID.
I'll have to think a little more about his raise this year. Anyway, he threw himself at me and I ended up cutting him slightly. I'm sorry it had to turn out that way. Me knocking him out and everything.
By the way, what happened to your knife?
Oh, you mean this one?
Don't know what to say. So you knocked Officer Meekins out
And Professor Rooney.
So you did your research beforehand?
Those who go into the desert unprepared don't live long, partner. I don't think it would make a difference, though. The security cave is erased every 6 hours. All had gone as planned, no footage would have been left. However, There we go, 9%. And, oh,
Officer Marshall, I think I understand. I think I know why you care so much about the SL9 incident.
sounds like you've been sipping too much cactus juice, partner. Drink cactus juice. It'll quench you. Nothing's quenchier. It's the quenchiest.
Oh, God.
Thank you, Marshall, for reminding us of that.
I have the SL9 incident file here. The name Marshall is mentioned in here. Drop my bacon. In a list of murder victims. Neil Marshall. Are you related to this man?
Neil Marshall? Yeah, I'm sure you've heard the name. 2 years ago, he received the same lousy prosecutor award you got.
Prosecutor.
Yeah.
What? A prosecutor? He must be talking about the King of Prosecutors Award.
No, I remember. Prosecutor Neil Marshall. He handled the SL9 case before I did. That's right. He was killed. And the case fell into your hands.
But what's his relation to you? My brother.
He was my brother. He's finally taken the fucking hat off.
Wow.
He was investigating the murders with Damon Gant, the then deputy chief of police.
Deputy.
Sorry.
I love all your word fuck ups, you know that.
I know.
You give me great source of joy.
The group of detectives I was part of worked under them. We were desperate to prosecute the killer. Yeah, he's definitely a killer. Joe Dock. My brother fought Doc and was killed. That was the first time Doc left behind any evidence. That was all we needed. He was arraigned and incarcerated. The case was finally closed. At least, according to the public records.
What do you mean?
My brother couldn't have been killed by Joe Dock.
Why?
I knew my brother better than anyone. No one could have beaten him in a fight.
Oh, God.
And that's it. That's your reason for your insane actions. There's more to my brother's death than what the records say. No matter how much you try to hide it, you can't fool me.
Well, at least one thing's for certain. Now we know what happened at the police department on the day of the crime.
That was the last day the SL9 case could be reopened. Not satisfied with its resolution, Officer Marshall planned to steal the evidence.
Disguising himself as Detective Goodman, he entered the evidence room. Officer Meekers confronted him, so he rendered him unconscious and fled.
Yes, this mystery has finally been cleared up. No murder took place at the police department that day. The things that happen by chance never cease to amaze. At exactly the same time as the murder at the prosecutor's office, this fake murder was going on at the police department.
Chance? It's got to be more than that. So if no one was murdered at the police department on the day of the crime, that means the murder in the prosecutor's office parking lot was the real one.
Which in turn means only one person could have committed the crime.
But no.
Chief Prosecutor Lana Sky.
Again, no. But wait, a verdict wasn't reached in yesterday's trial.
Which is why we examined the incident at the police department today.
But
there's only one reason the defendant was not convicted yesterday. There yet remained the mystery of the simultaneous murder at the police department.
I have a funny fucking feeling. I don't quite like it.
Well, let's keep going and you can tell me. Seems to me, this boy's got the draw on you, partner. All of the mysteries at the police department have been resolved. No doubt about it. Our sole murder took place at the prosecutor's office. The only suspect is Lana Sky. And the testimony of one Miss Angel Star is completely incontestable. If you have a response, make it a single word or less.
Ah!
Thank you. I rest my case.
As soon as this trial has reached its conclusion, there's no room for doubt.
Well done, Mr. Wright. Thanks to you, I didn't need to waste my time. Disproving all the alleged... Disproving the alleged murder at the police department.
There's no doubt. There's no doubt what I proved today is true. The apparent murder on the security camera's tape really was fake. But I didn't realise that would end up proving Lana guilty. Now then, the time for this verdict has arrived.
This court finds the defendant... Hold it! Your Honour, wait!
Emma!
The defense has an objection. A scientific objection. Right?
What do you mean, right? Mr. Wright. Are you this girl's guardian? Why do you ask me that?
No.
Your Honour? Oh, in a sense?
Please, Your Honour, all I'm asking is for a minute of your time. Please hear me out. Mr. Edgeworth, please. I don't want to leave any loose ends. You want a minute? I'll give you 3. Very generous. I was kind of in shock. I mean, finding out the SL9 incident referred to the Joe Dark killings.
Now that she mentions it, the names of both Sky sisters were in that file.
But that's when I figured it out. I mean, what Officer Marshall was trying to do that day. So I knew his fingerprint had nothing to do with the crime. But that left only one thing. The other handprint. You mean the traces of blood found on Detective Gumshoe's locker?
But no fingerprints were found on it, right?
No, but I figured if I examined it scientifically, I'd be sure to find a clue. So, I ran over there and looked at it again.
So, did you find something?
No!
Huh?
Sorry, I guess I'm not much of a scientific investigator after all. You interrupted us for that.
That's all.
Please don't be mad. I'm just a high school student.
And I'm just an attorney.
But Mr. Wright, those traces of blood are the only clue we have. If we can't find something wrong with them. Please, Mr. Wright, you're a professional. If anyone can save Lana, it's you.
Me? Oh boy. Time's up. Now then, Mr. Wright. With regard to the incident at the police department, does any reasonable doubt remain?
Appears the defense is troubled by the other blood mark.
Yeah.
Continue. Looking at the floor plans, a handprint was discovered around here. Is there a problem with this? Mr. Wright, I'm sorry I can't be of more use. But still, if you can't find anything wrong with that blood mark, Lana will be...
Please answer my question, Mr. Wright. We don't have all day. Yes, Your Honor. If I'm needed to concentrate, it's now.
Yeah?
I object.
We're gonna have to. If we say there's no problem, she gets incarcerated.
This handprint left at the crime scene clearly shows a contradiction.
The only thing that seems clear is your grasping, Mr. Wright.
You've been staring pretty intently at those floor plans. Tell me, is there a problem? Yes, this is strange. Take a good look at these floor plans. Something is missing.
Missing? You mean something hasn't been drawn on there?
Yes, something that when drawn will completely change the meaning of the blood mark. Let's just pray the defences are simply trying to buy time. Very well, Mr. Wright. All this evidence here, there's got to be something I can use. The question is, what item can prove something is missing from the floor plans?
Oh, this is a floor plans of the supposed murder.
So should we have a look at them?
Check the video.
Blue badger.
There you go! Because that thing was in the fucking way for the entire video. Because it was right in front of the security camera. The blue badger is not on the floor plans. We'll present the blue badger then. Yeah. Yeah, dancing at the time of the murder at PD. There we go. What about that piece of plywood?
Why are you back there? The blue badger, mascot of the police force, defender of truth, guardian of proof.
Explain yourself, Mr. Wright.
Please look at the floor plans of the crime scene. The blue badger is not here.
So?
So watch what happens when we put him in. This is where he was dancing at the time of the crime. Well, what? That's right. So long as the blue badger is dancing here, it would be impossible to place a handprint at this spot on the locker.
What?
So that means, just exactly what does that mean? It means it can't be done. What do you say? Blood traces were undeniably found on that locker. Don't look at me. I didn't put it there.
Mr. Wright, think it through scientifically.
Emma.
On that afternoon, Officer Meekins was the one who brought the blue badger to the evidence room, right? After he put it down, it would have been impossible to leave a handprint on that locker.
So that must mean this blood mark was left there before the blue badger was brought in. Just one moment. I will not allow such far-fetched balderdash in my courtroom.
How British of you.
It may sound far-fetched, Your Honor, but it's the only possible explanation. On February 21st, in the police department's evidence room, blood was spilled not once, but twice.
But how?
One time was captured on this tape, taken by the security camera. Officer Meekins cut his hand, from which a trivial amount of blood fell. The problem is, the other time... someone bled prior to the struggle shown on this tape. It had to have been Detective Goodman when he was really murdered.
Yeah, you said it really posh. That's ridiculous. I refuse to accept your absurd claim.
The murder... Yes, I know, right?
Well done.
The murder portrayed in the security tape has been proven to be fake. However, that does not explain the blood mark found on the locker.
So then, assuming this murder you purport really happened, when did it take place? I demand you show evidence that proves when it occurs.
Did the first incident occur? To summarize, the defense claims that prior to Officer Mika's being cut by Jake Marshall, who was put as Detective Goodman, another incident took place in that evidence room. That's right, the blood mark on the locker proves this. Very well, then tell us. When did this first incident occur? As Mr. Edwards said, proof must be presented. Proof that shows when the murder took place. There's only one piece of evidence that can show that. Now then, will the defense please present its evidence? What shows when the first crime took place?
Obviously the ID list. Oh.
If the crime took place inside the evidence room, then the killer would have had to enter it. And in order to do so, an ID card would have been required. An ID card. Oh! The ID card record! Officer Meekins brought the blue badger panel into the evidence room at, let's see here, 4:50 p.m. If the crime took place before that time, then it would be 4:40 p.m. Ah! Ah! Miles Edgeworth! Just what have you done?
I never would have figured you'd have the nerve, boy. Drop the act, witness. It doesn't take a lot of thought to figure out it couldn't have been me. Nope, I ain't getting it.
I'm afraid I don't understand either.
Yeah, you don't understand anything, Judge. It's clear from the luminol test that blood was there. However, when the second crime took place, both Officer Meekins and Officer Marshall failed to notice the blood.
That means the blood from the first crime was wiped away by the real murderer.
I would have had just 10 minutes to murder the victim, carry his body away, and clean up the blood. Unfortunately, that's physically impossible.
That would mean the crime must take place before Mr. Edgeworth entered the evidence room. Let's look at the chart again. There's only one other number remaining.
Many sevens.
777777.
7 sevens.
7.
Talk about a lucky number.
I get the feeling I know who did this.
Well, we can discuss it when we get to the end of this, because I'm sure we're near the end now.
But wait, that doesn't make sense. How could Detective Goodman have entered the evidence room? Since there's no record of his card being used beforehand, he must have entered along with the real murderer. That's the only plausible explanation. He went in with 777777. Mr. Edgeworth, please look into this ASAP. Find out whose ID number is 777777.
That's 1 7 too many, Your Honor. Unfortunately, I'm unable to look up the owner of that ID card. At least at present.
What?
Explain yourself, son. The ID number, 77s, belonged to someone with a rank of captain or higher.
I know.
Someone who is a so-called executive officer. You don't have the authority to inquire into such a person's identity.
But that's ridiculous. Just how...
I'm not finished talking, Mr. Wright. There is one situation in which we can be granted such authority.
If an official charge filed against an executive is accepted. An official charge?
You're all alike, aren't you? With your cover-ups and your forgeries. That's how the prosecutor office operates. I take pride in my work, Officer Marshall. I would appreciate it if you would keep your slander to yourself. Slander, is it? Okay. Let me ask you a question. Yes? No, not to you, to her, the defendant sitting over there. Your own little executive. Don't be stupid. She's been charged with murder. Of course we've looked up her ID number. And it's not 7 sevens. Don't play me for a fool, partner. That's not what I want to ask. All I want to know is one thing about that incident.
Yes, a lie incident.
Answer me this, Chief Prosecutor. In that trial 2 years ago, did you really only use legitimate evidence? Do you need the witness to repeat his question, Chief Prosecutor? I heard him fine, Mr. Edgeworth. 2 years ago, I was in charge of the prosecution for that trial. At the time, occasionally, we felt the powerlessness of the law. At least, I did. Lana! I became a prosecutor in order to suppress crime with the law. But before I realised it, we were the ones being suppressed by the law.
Defendant, just what are you saying?
I'll ask you again, Chief Prosecutor. During that trial 2 years ago, did you really present all the evidence in court? Can you look me, the investigator in that crime, in the eye and said that you did?
Chief Prosecutor, you didn't.
I don't have to, Officer Marshall. Why won't you answer him? Drastic crimes require drastic measures. That's just the way it is. We did what we had to in order for him to get the verdict he deserved. But Lana! Even if it involved forging evidence. See, that's what I'm talking about. No. No!
Order!
Honest remarks for such a store. Sir, the chaos in the courtroom could not be quelled. The conclusion of the trial would have to wait until the following day. Continued. Well, shit.
You have someone to save. More to get out.
Alright, back to investigation we will be going. Whether it will be continuing in this session or not is another thing. But for now, thank you for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe if you've enjoyed. More Ace Attorney will be coming. Leave us a comment in the comment section down below. Dragon.
If you like what you've seen, please consider subscribing to our Patreon, becoming one of our lovely beings today. If, however, that is too expensive for you at this time, please consider a one-off donation on our Ko-fi help for TUH today.
But for now, Lime out.
Dragon out.